morning. So this is CALLERLAB convention in, where are we? Richmond, Virginia. This is Tuesday morning, the 16th of April, and this session is Visit Main Street. My name's Mike Hogan, I'm your moderator. We have three calls that we're going to show you, and I thought we'd do them in the teaching order. So I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, to my left, your right, this young man is from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's been calling since shortly after dirt was invented. No, he's been calling, I should know this. Yeah, I think it's in the neighborhood of 50, isn't it? Not quite 50 years. He's called all over the world. He has been a former chairman of the board and has served on the board of governors for many years. He's also the owner-producer of Royal Records and a milestone recipient. Please say good morning to Mr. Tony Oxendine. All you have to do is turn this up. See? You do it.
Okay, let's work
with
on
this.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm now the proud owner of a half yak stack, too.
Yes, sir.
One should never give one's wife the sticker of the card. That's what I need is one more speaker. Anyway, my call is walk and dodge. And the best way, I don't know about these guys, the best way that I can show you this kind of stuff is to physically show you. So can we possibly get a square? And for that, I'm willing to pay $50.
To whom? For each dancer?
Each dancer, $50 each dancer, of course. Many things can be said about me, but I am not tight. Okay.
First one up.
All right. If I were going to teach walk and dodge for the very first time, I would always teach it from boxes. And there are a couple of reasons for that. So let's have the head step in and face your corner. The reason I do it from here first is because I can get in less trouble than if I do it from lines and I do a touch quarter. If I'm going to do touch quarter first and I do the walk and dodge, it puts them in a straight by setup and then it's a little locked off. Then what I do here, you kind of got it. It's okay. Now, bear in mind when we look at our definitions, the CALLERLAB definitions are written for callers. When I hear callers tell me, they say, yep, I teach my dancers the definitions. And I said, well, yeah, that's just really crazy because dancers don't need to know the true definition. They need to know how to do the call. So we callers are kind of like preachers. Have you ever noticed that you go to church and the preacher takes one verse of the Bible and talks an hour on it and he explains it to you? That's what we do with the definitions. So we take the definitions that we know, put them in dancer language. We take it from callerize, which is what it's written in initially, to something they can understand. And here's the way it works. And anytime, and bear in mind too, guys, that people learn different ways. They're visual learners. People learn by hearing. Some people have to do it. Some people got to count walls. Some people got to count degrees and turning. Here's a couple of things that I do for walk and dodge. I do it the first time from here, touch a quarter, and I tell them this is a box of 4 call. Okay, there's a leader in a trailer. The leader is the person facing out of the box. If you can see a body part, you're a trailer. Doesn't matter whether it's a face, head, neck. If you can see a body part, you're a trailer. The leader dodges, just like you slide open the door on a van. You ever slid the door open the van? There's these minivans. Now they mash the button, they slide. You're slide over, you don't change the wall. The cool thing about walk and dodge is you don't change walls. It's really kind of cool. So the girl's going to slide over, and I don't mind saying boy and girl. I don't go with this boy dancer, girl dancer, right side dancer, left side dancer. I like sex. When I talk. So I like to say boys do this, girls do this in this situation right here. So in this situation with girls, you're the leader, you're facing out, so you're going to dodge over to the spot that right beside you in your box. Boy, you're going to circulate straight ahead. Walk and dodge. Perfect. Now, here's the problem with walk and dodge. It's not the call itself, it's what we call after it. Because what do we call after this? Partner training, which is just so bad for the girls. You see very few female callers call walk and dodge partner trade because they look at the lot of the female callers look at the women rather than the men, and they see what an awkward call it is for the women. Now, we men callers say, oh no, the dancers make it smooth by rocking and recovering. And I don't want the dancers, I don't want to rely on the dancers to make my material smooth. So I try never to call walk and dodge partner trade. I try very hard. So what can you call?
Reverse wheel around.
Oh! I can use, or California twirl. Same thing. I like reverse wheel around. Now bear in mind that I would have already taught wheel around and reverse wheel around prior to teaching walk and dodge, because wheel around is on the basic list. Reverse wheel around, while not specifically there, if I teach wheel around, I'm going to teach reverse wheel around. I'm assuming you guys know how to do reverse wheel around. The boy dancer, the person in the boy's position is going to go forward, the girl's going to back up. Reverse wheel around, and we have a beautiful line forward again. Is that kind of cool? How many of you guys, honestly, how many of you guys have called walk and dodge reverse wheel around?
And I walk and dances so they get it.
Absolutely. If I'm going to do before in an open dance, I spend a lot of time doing wheel around and reverse wheel around long before I do walk and dodge reverse wheel around. There's other ways to do walk and dodge. I'm going to show you some other ways that don't involve having to do wheel around, reverse wheel around. But that's just one. All right. Now, but if I did that, let's from here. Let's do a reverse flutter wheel, just to give it, because there you go, and go forward and back. Now this is going to be a lot quicker than I would normally do it. Everybody slide through. Left-handed, touch your quarter. Now this time the girl is going to walk and the boy's going to dodge. Can we see that? So the boy's the leader. You're going to slide over like the van. Girls are going to circulate in the spot in front of you. Walk and dodge. Now if from a right-handed box, walk and dodge to a wheel around to a reverse wheel around is comfortable, would you then go with me that from a left-handed box, a walk and dodge to a wheel around would be cool?
Yes.
And let me show you the flow of this. So for right now, everybody just wheel around, boy backs up. Let me show you the flow so that you can see it. Slide through. And everybody left-handed touch your quarter. Girl walk, boy dodge, and everybody wheel around, back up boys. And it opens up a whole new school of material for you. Now, it's not doing you any good to call these calls if you can't fix them here. So let me give you a little thing, and I didn't hurry up, slide through it. You're only looking at your call and paying attention where you start. Is that corner? Okay, perfect. Let me show you. This is a
Don't ask a caller who their owners are.
all right, let's just say from right now you're looking at your corner. Okay? Let's pretend we're looking at our corner. So I've got to be able, if I'm going to call it, I don't want to, here's the problem I see too many callers, is you may call some good stuff, and then it goes to pieces when you try to fix things, when you try to resolve it. It's easy if you can get something in your head that works, such as this. So I know that now, if you guys are familiar with one couple site, say yes.
Yes.
See, all I got to do is take one of the couples that I know and put them on the outside. And I'm going to take my white-haired guy and my white-haired lady right here, and I'm going to put them on the outside, and I don't care about the rest of the people in the square. Only two people I care about, these two people here. But I happen to have a routine in my head. Watch this. Touch a quarter, walk and dodge, reverse wheel around, reverse flutter wheel, and slide through, and that's a 0. Which is really kind of cool. So I didn't have to worry about fixing things. Same is true for here. The one I have for the left touch quarter is a little more complex, but it's really cool. Left-handed touch a quarter, girl walk, boy dodge. Wheel around, put her in the lead Dixie style to a wave. Swing through, go right and left. Chain down the line, and slide through. And they're looking at the corner. Now the neat thing about that particular figure is it fits in a singing call. You can do a heads left square through forward to a left touch a quarter, walk and dodge, wheel around Dixie style, swing through, chain down the line, slide through, and it fits really nice in a singing call. Okay? Everybody okay with what we're doing so far? Now, sometimes we don't always have to have an in facer and an out facer, or a leader or trailer in a box. We can do it this way. Everyone start through for me. And do a very smooth reverse flow wheel. Now watch the body flow for this. For a girl walk and the boy dodge over to her spot. Perfect. Can you see what nice flow that was? Left hinge, boy cross run, recycle, I'm back to where I needed to be. Let's do that one again so that you get a feel for it. Star through for a very smooth reverse flutter wheel. Girl walk, boy dodge, left hinge, boy cross run, recycle, and we're right back. Now if a reverse flutter wheel to a girl walk, boy dodge fits good, then would it make sense that a flutter wheel it would be everybody star through, do a right and a left through, flutter wheel, girl right hand. And now we do a very smooth boy walk, girl dodge. Now, I've seen guys call boys run after this. I don't like to call boys run because the girls just moved over. They're doing the same thing again. It's like a walk and dodge partner trade. So I try not to call boy run here. Too often when all we're doing is side calling, we see this, we see boys facing out, we call boy run. We don't realize that it's not very good for the girls. I like to call hinge after this. Hinge, girls trade, and now I can do something. Recycle, and that just happens to be another one of my zeros. And we're back looking at corner again. So, does anybody feel good with that? Yes. Let me show you something else. Scrub it. Just unpair off. Now, you got to also watch out. I'm going to show you something now that you're going to say, well, no, I don't do that. How many of you guys do this? Sides. Now, let's have heads touch a quarter. Walk and dodge. Touch a quarter. Walk and dodge. Reverse wheel around. Will we say that's smooth? How many think that's smooth? Show of hands. How many think it's not smooth? Show of hands. And there's a reason that is not a really good sequence. And let me show you why it's not a really good. It should have been. You should have known when I said absolutely. Pass the ocean for me. Recycle. Let me set the whole thing up again. Veer left and Ferris wheel, and the 4 in the middle. Slide through. Here's the problem. Heads again, touch a quarter. Watch the girl, especially. For the boy, walk and dodge to a right-handed call is smooth. For the girl, a walk and dodge to a right-handed move is awkward because she's moving away. The call to use after this walk and dodge is a left touch a quarter. And it is much smoother for the girls. For the boys, it doesn't matter because he's going forward, so any hand is available. But for the girls, she's dodging over to her right. Her right hand is out of the way. For her to use it now to come back and do a right-handed move, she has to turn. It's awkward for her. But once they get used to this, now the first time you call a walk and dodge to the left touch a quarter, it's going to hurt them. Once they trust you, so that now they know what's coming. Walk and dodge, centers, left touch a quarter. I'm not going to do the whole thing again because she stopped. Boys do a U-turn back. Star through, pass to the center, center slide through. Let's do it again, this time smoothly. Heads touch a quarter. Walk and dodge, left touch a quarter, should feel good for the girls. Walk and dodge, wheel around, flutter wheel, boy walk, girl dodge, hinge, girl trade, hinge, girl U-turn back, right and left through, and slide through and we're back home. We're back looking at the corner again. Cool? Now those little sequences are in my head, those little modules. I call them diddlies. But now those are all in my head, so that I can use those. And let me tell you something, guys. I can do that sequence right there once, and then the next time I can start with the sides instead of the heads. And I can do the exact same sequence, and for the dancers it would feel different. And the reason it would feel different is because they have new people. They're going a different direction. They're going east-west rather than north-south, and they have some new people with them. It would feel totally different for them. I can take that same sequence, use different music. I could do it the next tip and use different music, and it would feel different then. See, we worry about technical. Dancers worry about feeling. And so we want to do things for them. We use our technical abilities so that it feels good for them, so that you can work up really, really nice little sequences like that. Write them down, use them enough time you remember. You remember this one? Left touch a quarter. Walk and dodge. Wheel around. Dixie style. Swing through to a chain down the line, to a slide through. Twice, let's use the other one, reverse flutter with the left. Girl walk, boy dodge, left hinge, boy cross run. The next call is recycle, and you're right back. Now I can do this for those of you guys that have gone to caller schools. If I wanted to invert and rotate the square now, I could use a technical zero by doing this. Star through, pass through, bend the line, and everybody star through. Now I've changed both direction and I've changed people. Although they're still looking at the corner, I can still Allemande left from here. I could then come back and do the exact same sequence again, and for these guys, it would feel totally different. And the neat thing about a technical zero is if you do it twice, it zeroes out. So if I did it again, star through, pass through, bend the line, star through, I'm right back where I started from. Centers face in, back away. Yeah,
We're done yet.
So kind of sort of. Make sense? So it's, now you can work that way. I spent 30 minutes this morning writing these little notes for this. Here's what I like to do, and I spent some of these modules I already knew. Some I did this morning with SDTTY. You know, it's quick, especially with the one couple site. It makes things easy. Questions? Gripes? That's all I have.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I'm going to need a square too, but if you want to write, if you want to stay, or if you want substitutes, that's fine. However you want to do that.
Mike's calling up the answer. I didn't prepare.
Unlike Tony, I have music.
Yes.
For the man on the far end of the table, I want to make sure he notices that this is a piece of Blue Star music. Okay, head square through. So my call is spin chain through. Make a wave. Swing through. Boys turn a quarter extra, make an all boy wave. Center two boys trade. With the end boy, cast 3/4. Line up with the girls. And I've done the call. And that's how I started when I teach it in lessons, because at that point they know trades, they know cast-offs, they know all of those pieces that make up the call spin chain through. Spin chain through is a long call. It's the, other than grand square, it's the longest call we have in the mainstream program. And because there's 4 parts to the call, the dancers tend to not learn it by little pieces at first. It's rote learning. They like to do it over and over and over again. I'll wander off into the plus realm for just a moment. When we use spin chain the gears, or we use relay the deucey, or any of those types of calls, if you interrupt that call anywhere in the middle, they're lost. They have no idea where to stop. There used to be a call that was relay the deucey with 2 stars. And dancers just couldn't do it because there's too many chunks to it. And especially the beginner lessons, they're not ready for that stuff. Boys run. Bend the line. Pass the ocean. From a caller aspect, there's really not a whole lot to that this does. The call spin chain through moves 2 people. Okay? It moves the in dancer facing in. Moves that dancer to the other side. In a lot of caller schools, we use the term across the street. And I was doing a clinic and I was talking about across the street. And I actually stood up and I went, see this space in between these 2 groups? That's the street. So when we do spin chain through, if you're trying to mechanically follow this, you know, from a caller aspect, all you have to know is you're taking the in dancer across the street. So to put your square back together, you just have to put that same person on the end and call it again. Now, when I teach it, I do it a couple of times just by directionally calling it, and then I add the name, right? So, all right, so swing through. Boys turn a quarter extra, make an all-boy wave. Center two boys trade. With the in boy, catch 3/4 and line up with the girls. And as you probably know from teaching, if you tell people to trade, they'll turn a quarter. If you tell people to turn 3/4, they'll turn half. I see it all the time. Every class I teach, I see that. So when I finished that directional piece right there, I used line up with the girls because they'll under-rotate. So that's just how it works. Boys run around the girls. Bend the line, right and left through. Pass the ocean. So swing through. Boys turn a quarter extra, make an all-boy wave. Center 2 boys trade. With the end, boy cash 3/4. Boy run around, bend the line, pass the ocean. So that boy run, bend the line, pass the ocean puts the guy that I need to swap back on the same end facing it. So now at this point, we've walked it a few times, and I'm going to tell them about the chunks. So here's how as beginners, the actual call is made up. What we've been doing is a call called spin chain through. And it's made up of different pieces that make up the whole call. There's 4 parts to it. The definition says that the end dancer and the center dancer turn half. So do that. That's the first chunk, is half. And then it says the new center dancers cast 3/4. And that's where you end up with that all-boy ocean wave. Then the very center 2 dancers trade. And with the end dancer, they cast 3/4. Now there's a lot of things about spin chain through that as a caller, I don't like that we turn half and the girl's done. She's out of the end, she's got nothing to do. Stand there for the whole rest of the dance. So a lot of times callers use circulates. They'll have the girls circulate twice. Let's see, have I done enough of my spin chain throughs to put everybody back in their boxes? I did. Boys run, bend the line, right left through, slide through, I think Richmond, right? Okay. So yeah, don't unpair off. So make an ocean wave. So we're gonna do it again, but I'm gonna have the girls circulate twice. I don't do it when I first teach it because I want the girls to understand that that's not part of the call. It's completely different. And the dancers, as beginners, if you do spin chain through and you want to keep the girls busy so you have them circulate twice, when you first introduce it, they will associate that as being part of the call. And you don't want that, right? So here we go, spin chain through, girls circulate twice.
We're nice to go.
Right? That should put everybody with their partner. Hey, boy run around the girl, bend the line. I know in caller schools they use magic modules. They call them what do you call them? The magic?
Right.
Magic module, right? Yeah. And magic modules, if you to just give it to you quickly, from a 0 box, swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, bend the line, transfers you from a 0 box to a 0 line or a partner line. Okay? Guys use it all the time. And then the other module is touch chord. Go ahead, touch chord. Single file circulate. He's a she. Boy run around the girl and puts you back to your corner. Right? That works. Okay. So the other part for me, when we start talking about standard application and extended application, all that kind of material, the initial setup where it's a boy, girl, girl, boy, right-handed wave, that to me is standard application. It's a standard position to start this call from. In my mind, it's also standard to start this call with the girls on the end of the wave and the boys in the middle. So that's one of the 6 possible arrangements of your ocean wave. Okay, so step 2 wave, swing through. And now go, girls. Now we're gonna play around with this, but I'm just gonna directionally call it to you and let you go through. Okay. So here we go. Swing through. Girls turn a quarter extra, make an all-girl wave. Center 2 girls trade. With the end girl, cast 3/4. Perfect. Girl run around the boys. Bend the line. Pass the ocean. Now, of course, I could call past the ocean from that setup with y'all You gotta, because y'all are callers, right? You have to make sure you've decided if your dancers can actually do it past the ocean with the girl on the left side. They should be able to, but we all know reality is reality, right? So this time, girls, I'm gonna go ahead and give it the name, and I'm gonna tell you about the pieces, okay? Here we go. Spin chain through, turn half, girls turn 3/4, make an all-girl wave, the very center, 2 people trade, and turn 3/4 on the end. So all of that to me is standard application. You got girls doing the work or boys doing the work. Okay, recycle. Right and left through. I think we're at corners, right? Okay. So one of the points that when you start getting into any other kind of setup, whether it's left-handed, boy, boy, girl, 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 boy, boy, whatever it is, to me all of that is kind of an extended application. So I want them to get it this way first. And many times in lessons, I'll get to this point where the guys have done it, the girls have done it, I'll move on to some other stuff, and I'll come back to it and then expand on it from there. So slide through, right and left through, Dixie style, boy trade. So here's the deal. Spin chain through is neither discussion. Spin chain through is neither right-handed nor is it left-handed. The definition doesn't say from a right-handed wave or a left-handed wave. It says from parallel motion waves. And that's the mainstream application. You can start to expand from that if you want to, but the mainstream definition says it's from parallel motion waves. It's neither right-handed nor left-handed. The definition says the end dancer and the center dancer are the two that start the call with a trade. Now, lots of callers will use left spin chain through to help the dancers be successful. I don't have a problem with that, but I do point out at that point that the mechanics is exactly the same whether you start left-handed or right-handed. So we're going to start left-handed. Ready? Spin chain through, go. Turn left. Girls turn right 3/4. Make an all-girl wave. Center 2 girls trade, cast 3/4. Finish with a courtesy turn. Okay? You interrupted my call. That's it. Never mind. Uncourtesy turn. I'll do it another way. Girls run. Bend the line. Yeah, you gotta run right. That's okay. Okay, Eric Caroline. You're no, I want to know what your confusion is.
Okay, go ahead, pass the ocean.
Okay, no, right, left through. I'm doing left-handed. Dixie style.
Confusion was a left-handed.
Boy trade. Boy trade.
So some dancers.
Mike.
It's Mike.
Nope, Eric, microphone. Eric Caroline, Moderator, California.
Thank you. So the problem I have is some dancers, not all, a lot of dancers get this. The problem I have with dancers is getting that guy to stop on the end to let the center 2 people do their thing. And they will continue spinning in a circle. And I will try everything under the sun. It's probably the hardest thing I have to do is to get that man or woman to freeze their action while the center people find each other to do the trade. Because they just keep spinning in a circle.
I agree. I see that in dancer, especially if they're facing out, they just can't face out. They've just got to turn around. And a lot of times if you're using circulates to give them something to do, that prevents that problem. But I don't want them to learn it as part of the call. What's your point?
I'm talking about the person at the end of the wave. Everybody just other wave across the middle.
The wave across, okay.
Okay, so set up the left-hand wave, set up the left-hand wave, turn half. Okay, I don't want to be here. Okay, center's turn 3/4, and then this end person on the wave here doesn't know what to do, she keeps spinning around in a circle while these people are trying to find each other. That's what I see with some dancers that, have some difficulty learning the call. So any ideas?
Well, when I'm teaching it and I get to the, I see Lawrence Johnson has something to add to this. When I'm teaching the call, I set up that all-girl or all-boy wave, and I have the center straight. And yes, the end dancer sometimes does turn around because they're that just don't know. I will take the time to explain that this call, not everybody gets to do every piece of the call. And if you're not doing a piece of the call, then you just have to stand there. But outside of that, saying, hey, don't turn around, stay there. That's okay. I'll take some more words. You guys can input who you are, where you're from. Oh, sorry.
Lawrence Johnstone, Northern California. I've noticed the same thing, Eric. Doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl in the end, they want to turn around. So once I set up that wave down the middle, first thing I say is, the ends of that wave, you're gonna wait there patiently while the center two dancers trade. Patiently. And try to make a joke out of it. And that usually seems to help.
Joyce Coates from Massachusetts. One of the things I do when I'm first teaching it is after that first trade, I say, you new ends, now you're through. You just have to wait until everybody else quits moving. And then when the center wave is going, I'll say, now you ends in the center, you gotta wait too, until that next person comes. Sometimes it helps. Yeah, it's the same old, they don't want to stand still.
Susan Jones from Enumclaw, Washington. Something that I've found effective is that I explain to the people that at the end of that wave, you have the most important and hardest job. You have to stand there or everybody else is going to get messed up. So as soon as you let go for those centers to trade, you just got to stand still for a minute. Jane will tell them that they can walk in place. I don't let them walk in place at first. So we were having this discussion last night. But no, I let them know they're important. So suddenly they have a sense of, ooh, if I don't do what I need to do, so I have to just plant my feet for a second. I've found it effective. I don't know. You kind of have to try different things with different people. But.
I was going to say, my wife says when she's teaching, she says, you have to be there to be a target. Richmond, Broomfield, Colorado.
Randy Doherty, Monaco coach.
Anywhere USA.
Anywhere in the USA. Eric, I see that same problem. And when I identify the beginning of the call, I always say, who's doing all the work? And the end dancer looking in knows, hey, I'm doing all the work. And then I always get to that point where that end, I identify them as the happy wanderer. And they seem to always want to wander or spin. So I'll say, who's the happy wanderer? And they'll put their hand up and wait. And it seems to work, at least at the class. And then when you get them at the dances, of course I'm not saying who's doing all the work and who's doing the wandering. And it falls apart again because we don't use that call enough. So if the callers would just use the call more often.
But you're saying call them the happy wanderer and that makes them think
Mike.
I shouldn't be wandering.
Yeah, don't be so happy.
Now, this is a call, Spin Chain Thru is an interesting call. In my travels, I use it and I use Dixie Style quickly to figure out the skill level of the dance floor that I'm calling to. And I find that this call, I believe, is one of the least used calls in the mainstream program. I don't know why that is, but I do, I go places and call for people I've never called for before. And first tip, I'll call Spin Chain Thru. And there have been places I've walked in, it's a standard set, boys on the end, girls in the middle, right hand, ocean wave. And I've called Spin Chain Thru and lost half of my floor.
With or without the end circulating? Repeat the question,
So, with or without the end circulate, usually I'll do the girls circulate twice.
You still lose it.
And I still lose the floor.
Wow.
And that's our fault, guys. We're not calling the call enough.
My sister in California, if I use them like that, I'll go in there and suss the floor the same way and just look at their skill levels. But the bottom line is the first time I'll do it, I will say, from a standard wave, I'll say, girls, don't move. Now, don't move, girls. Boys, you know the word. Don't move, girls. Don't move. Don't. And I'll tell them, don't move. And then the next time I'll do it, guys, don't move. Don't move. And Just tell them, don't move. I don't circulate them, I'll do that later, but again, just tell them, don't move.
Yeah, my actual piece that I usually call it first is I'll call it spin chain through, girls circulate twice, boys work it down the line. And that kind of gets them to go, oh yeah, I've got to find that wave and work it out. But I quickly figure out, where I'm at. We're going to kind of move along a little bit. I want to make sure that all three gentlemen here get a chance to talk about what they want to talk about. Anybody else have something else you want to add for spin chain? Yeah. And we'll come back to it if you want to as well. Hello, Mike.
I'll say something.
All right.
Big Cedar, California. One thing about spin chain through, if you have like the boys on the end, start with the girls on the end, it does absolutely nothing to whether they're in or out of sequence. So if everybody's in sequence at the beginning, they'll all be in sequence at the end. The boys are out at the beginning, girls are in sequence, be the same way at the end, even though they moved around a little bit in the square. So that's very helpful for sight calling or planning ahead to make a resolve come. You know it's not going to affect the sequence.
You guys understand the rationale. You guys understand the rationale for the girls circulate too. You board run, he throws you to a zero line. You have a partner line at that point, so it's easy to fix. As Randy, I hear Randy in my head. There's a yin to the yang. If a spin chain through and the girls circulate twice, and the boys run works, then a left spin chain, and I like left spin chain through. A left spin chain through and the boys circulate twice is the same.
It is.
So it is cool. And the sequence he did, earlier he did the left spin chain through to the courtesy turn on the end is just slicker than, that's just a slick call.
Just Eric interrupted. Square up real quick, just square up. Yeah, just, I'm gonna show you that. With a little less volume.
Yeah. That was royal, but it doesn't happen.
And square through. Square through 2. I did not want to square through 2. California tour. That's not what I wanted to do. Square through 3. Courtesy turn. Dixie style. To the wave. Boy trade. Alright, left-handed waves, got our corner in our hand, right? Alright. So left, start with your left, spin chain through. Boys circulate twice. Now, courtesy turn right there was my plan, and I was thinking of something else I would call it. Fine, let's go forward and back. And you got your partner, right? Yes. So that circulate. Hang on.
What's the ending formation of a courtesy turn at that point?
Facing inland.
Facing what?
The other couple in
These
your
two couples that are facing out, they're deals behind it.
do what?
Microphone.
All right, time out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's John Jones
Time out.
from Texas.
I'm about to get schooled.
I bet you
Can you
glad
tell?
to meet this big. Smart man.
My name is John Jones from Texas. You notice I get way back here before I say it.
There was a session
We got open carry law in Texas. No, seriously though, the ending formation of that courtesy turn is a big question mark.
Okay.
And I don't know that that's ever been solved.
My question mark to me, so answer for it. Yeah.
Why?
Did you turn your facing?
Why?
Because that's the definition.
I'm sorry, did we turn
The definition of the courtesy turn ends facing the center of your formation.
Right. So how does chain down the line work then? Does that work?
It's described. It's different from courtesy turn. Separately. Because the definition of chain down the line is you face the couple that you are in line with. This doesn't say that. Where's the center of the formation after the end of the spin chain through? say face the center, is it a squared formation?
Right.
Or are you talking about the line or the wave? And anywhere you go in the United States, if you call that, you end up in lines, John. So if you haven't realized that, they do it in Texas the same way.
That's the reason I don't call it, because it's too confusing. The couple that's facing out has no problem. I mean, the couple that's facing in.
Yeah.
Their problem is real easy because they just do a quarter turn. This couple that's facing out, they can be facing the couple that's behind them when it's over with. I think we need to review that.
Where were we?
I think you're right, Mike.
Thank you. So what I was going to call you guys out to is, so we had you in left-handed ocean waves in sequence corner and in, right? So where were we? Was that the end of the first spin chain or just partner? Yeah, I'm not going to call it a term. Do you have your partner? Okay. Here I got an idea. Everybody got the partner in their left hand, right? The boys are on the ends. We're in sequence, etc. So that whole yin-yang thing, this is just conversation. The spin chain through, boys circulate twice, took you from left-handed waves with your corner to left-handed waves with your partner, right? So then the get out is left spin chain through, go. Spin chain through, girls circulate twice. Boys work it down the line, and guess who shows up? Element left your corner. So right-handed, left-handed, they still work the same. And there's lots of other get-outs, but I'm going to move on and let Buddy talk a little bit about his call. Do you need a square?
Okay, let me know, we'll talk about his call now.
All right, so our third presenter is from is from San Marcos, California. He is the owner of Blue Star Hi-Hat, Rawhide, and probably 3 or 4 that we don't know about. I believe he probably has his voice on more singing calls than any other man or woman alive, even you. Pretty close. Pretty close. He also travels all over the world, and he's also my boss because I get to record for him. So, and a member of the Board of Governors, Mr. Buddy Weaver.
I'm going to be the square. You guys want to switch out? Are you cool? Stay where you are? You happy? As long as you're happy, Dick, I'm happy. So the call that I've asked to do is tag the line, and I'm going to approach it a couple different ways. Number one, we're going to approach it as if you've never heard the call before. We're going to show it to you as a teaching method. So let's have the head couple lead to the right and veer to the left. The next call will be tag the line. To execute this call, please, you're going to take both hands, both fingers, and you will point to the center of your line. Would you do so now? Both hands, both fingers, point to the center of your line. Turn to face the center of your line individually. Right shoulders, double pass all the way through. The definition says you are right now done. Buddy Weaver says you are not done. You must reach over and touch the hand of the person directly beside you. So that will do a number of things. Number one, it's going to close the gap. Because in California, which is where I come from, real estate is expensive. We can't afford to have that much space between people. Number two, it's going to help you, isn't it? It's pretty funny, isn't it? Thank you very much. Only the Californians are laughing, I should point out. The second thing it's going to do is going to...
John said you were too loud.
The second... Would you take your hand off? The second thing it's going to do is going to help you to identify the position you're in. So for example, if I were to use a term like leaders, you can quickly see who the leaders are. Leaders do a U-turn back. U-turn back. Thank you very much. Touch your quarters, we do in California. Centers trade, centers run around the ends using both hands, both fingers, point to the center of your line, turn to face the center of your line individually, right shoulder double pass all the way through. Please reach over and touch hands. You have now completed the action. Now, if you notice between the two calls, the first time we had the girl as leader, and the second time we did it, we had boy as leader. As for when you're working with beginners, that makes a huge bit of difference because it changes to perspective. Now, a couple of things we're going to talk about right here is how the call ends. A lot of callers jump right into facing directions as a way of getting out of this. In other words, face right, face left. I consider that to be a very difficult action for a lot of beginners. And so I prefer to keep it easy in the beginning. That's why the first thing we used was leaders, you turn back. In this particular instance, we want to change that a bit. So let's face in. By having touched hands and establishing that relationship, turning to face in was easy. Everybody will pass through. The ends, who are now boys, cross-fold in front of the far girl. Smile, star through. You are a couple. Couples circulate straight ahead, one place. Where's the center of your line? Tag the line. Turn to face right shoulder, double pass all the way through. Stop, touch hands. You'll notice that was a left-handed two-face line. And we wanted to get them into that right away. I don't like to draw attention to things like that. I just prefer to call it. Let them dance it. Sometimes they don't need to realize that this is something difficult or different. They just need to dance. They'll figure it out for themselves that that was pretty cool. That's all you need to do. Everybody turn to face in. Everybody pass through. You have a brand new line. Taking both hands, both fingers, point to the center of your line. Tag the line, going all the way down the line. You will notice that came out of a one-faced line. One-faced lines are more difficult for beginners to see. Tag the line. To make it easier, I used girls in the center or anybody really of same gender in the center of that one-faced line. It is easier for them to see it. Everybody turn to face in. Everybody pass through. You will notice boys are in the center of this one-faced line. Tag the line. Both fingers point, execute. At this point, everybody turn to face right. Touch hands, you are a couple. That whole idea of turning to face right is difficult for beginners. We take it for granted as callers that it's easy. It is not easy. Anytime you introduce terms like face right, face left, or leaders, or trailers, those are difficult terms. It is a whole new language for many people. And you say, oh, well, everybody knows which way right and left is. We take that for granted. It is not something we use in everyday language. And if you've ever driven on a freeway in LA, you will know that being able to know to differentiate between right and left is something that you cannot take for granted. Couples circulate one place, forward, and then bend the line. This becomes one of the most difficult ways we can use tag the line. From here, everybody pass through and tag the line. It is a mixed gender doing it. You notice now the dancers have learned and mastered the idea of pointing. The pointing does a number of things. Number one, it frees both hands so that I know these people will not be holding hands throughout the tag the line. That's critical. Number two, it gets people to identify which way they have to move. If they turn to point the direction of the center of the line and the dancer adjacent to them, would you mind not watching that while I'm doing this, please? What are you watching? A YouTube video of me calling? No, am I keeping you awake?
Yeah.
No, okay. Where was I? Number one, by freeing up hands, we know that they're not going to hold hands on the tag the line. Number two, if the people are pointing towards the center of the line, if the adjacent dancer is confused, they'll see a finger pointing the direction they need to go, and if they're facing the wrong way, they will quickly adjust without being pointed out to saying, hey, you turn around and go the other way. The third thing it does is that, what was I going to say? You see, you took me off my track. I'm just going to leave it at two. Everybody turn to face in, and we have your line. Everybody pass through and bend the line. Those are the easiest ways we can show to get into and get out of tag the line. I want to take this up just a bit because my presentation, I'm going to try to cut through this rather quickly. We're going to go into what I consider to be different but not difficult. And a lot of the ways we can make something different without being difficult is adding on to what comes at the end of the call, tag the line. For example, everybody pass the ocean. Centers who are boys trade, boy run, everybody tag the line. And then cloverleaf, the add-on call. See, Eric was confused. Well, you don't have to point anything out just yet. My name's not Mike Hogan, but just take your time. The idea is that we're following on with a call that they're not used to. We sometimes get trapped in the idea of tag the line, face in, tag the line, face out, tag the line, face right. Why don't we try something else besides that? Why don't we use things like tag the line into a clover leaf? Those in the middle, pass through, star through, leaders, California twirl, give me lines forward, up and back. Everybody pass through and tag your line.
So that's what we get people who turn the face of the park at that point. Right.
Correct. Because if you are momentarily confused and somebody, then this becomes consensus building as far as I'm concerned. If three people are pointing to the center of the line and you're the one who's pointing the wrong way, consensus says you are wrong and you will have to adjust. Boys face right, girls face left. Establish an ocean wave and do centers are facing rather. Center 4, pass through, everybody see a brand new line, everybody tag your line, go all the way through, all turn to face in, everybody slide through, centers pass through, slide through, we're back to a normal line of 4. If we wanted to take this and make this move us up, I can still stick to things like tag the line and move them into different formations. And that can make something more difficult. For example, everybody step to a tidal wave. Girls, you are the center of each wave, girls trade. Girls run around the boy. Each line, tag the line. Being very careful because you want to stay within your group of 4. At this point, I will usually remind the dancers at this point, girls, you are back to back. We have 2 center boys facing each other. We're done. All the boys face right, all the girls face left. See an ocean wave. Girls trade. Everybody pass through. All courtesy turn. We're back to a line of 4. Any questions? Perfect. Pass the ocean. I didn't pay any attention to if you're, who was your partner when you started this out with? You all partners? You all partners? And that's your corner, isn't it? That's what I thought. Thank you. Swing through. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. Boys trade, boy run, tag the line, lady go left, boy go right, element left with your corner, yippee-ki-yay, promenade back to home. Just like that. Lady go left, boy go right. It's a very traditional, old-fashioned way of getting out of it. Dancers aren't used to hearing it. The key to making that successful is the timing of executing that. If you, for example, heads lead to the left and veer to the right, everybody tag the line. Boy go right, girl go left. Alaman left. Lousy timing, isn't it? Very clunky, very clumsy. Sides lead to the left and veer to the right. Everybody tag the line. Boy go right, girl go left, Alaman left. I'm just staying ahead of them. It's just like when when we're calling, we need to stay ahead of the music. We're leading it all the way through. Last thing I'm going to touch on is how we can make it something difficult without making it different without making it difficult is fractionalization of the call. Heads lead to the right and veer to the left. Half tag the line. That is a fractionalization of the call. What makes it important here is what you use for your follow-on calls. Scoot back is a good follow-on call. Everybody's moving. Boy full behind the girl. 2 girls pass through, touch a quarter, see the wave. Boys trade, the boy run around a girl. Do a half tag the line, walk and dodge. Boys full directly in front of that girl, star through, and as a couple circulate one place. Everybody bend the line. Everybody will pass through and do a U-turn back. Thank you very much. Step to a tidal wave. Boy trade, boy run, half tag, column circulate. Everybody trade, everybody roll, everybody pass the ocean. Boys are center of the wave. Boy run around a girl, everybody do a half tag, partner trade, and if this were plus, roll, and everybody slide through. We all have lines go forward, up and back. Again, moving rather quickly through as it were plus, we need to fractionalize into 3/4 tags, etc., etc. And you know, this is Main Street. I said if this were plus.
No, all of the tags are Main Street.
Quarter tag, 3/4.
Is it really?
Yes. Yeah. That is not.
I printed didn't get that memo. Tell me you didn't tell me.
I tried.
Has anybody in this hall ever called quarter tag?
Yes.
Okay, I have never in my life called quarter tag anything. And I have never, and I've worked with most every caller that's, and I've never worked with a caller that called quarter tag. I've seen 3/4, I've seen half. I've never seen a caller call swing through board run quarter tag, and I think if he did, he'd be crazy. Personal opinion, and $4 will buy you a good cup of coffee.
John Jones from Texas. The definition of tag has now been rewritten to permit quarter tag. It also permits tag out of ocean waves. Have any of you experienced that?
Yep.
Have you used it to advantage? Perhaps
Yes.
it can be shown that, let Vic show it.
So John Jones points up something that is what I would consider to be usable material, but it may be self-indulgent. It may be something that you enjoy, but absolutely no one else will enjoy it. I try to sell quarter tag with our group, and I think we've got a pretty good advanced group back home, and it's a big flop. They don't really like it. They really don't like it. I can push it. Now, you mentioned about doing half tags out of ocean waves. So you have your, what did we lose? We lost one person. Would you mind checking back in? Well, it's good. Join the fray. Pass the ocean. Do a swing through. Boy run. Since you brought this up, do a half tag twice. So right there, you got the, you should have the boy in the lead over there. Swing through, and the boy run, and you're back to a line of 4. Wonderful, isn't it? I enjoyed it.
That's why we have open carry law, I think.
I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy that?
You know, we have that.
Others, I mean, how much time do I have? Past the ocean, I'm going to do one more thing, which I consider this, some of this is difficult. Well, heck, a lot of this is difficult, and it borders on self-indulgent. Boy run around a girl, couple circulates, since all of the tags are now at mainstream. Beautiful. Left 3/4 tag, go. Left shoulder pass. Girls have a left-hand wave. Girls do a left swing through, both boys face left. Girls only cross run. Girls cross run. You're a girl, Eric. You can all cross run. Thank you very much. Boys face in, everybody extend, half tag the line, swing through. You're doing wonderful. And the boy run right, you're back to a line of 4. So the left idea, notice what we did, the left 3/4 tag. I'm not a big fan of left tag the line. I think that's a big nothing. A left half tag, you're bordering on really just being too self-indulgent. Somewhat self-indulgent becomes a left 3/4 tag, which gives you that left-handed 3/4 tag setup. You can quickly get into diamonds if you're doing plus, and you can quickly get into spin the windmills if you're doing advanced. I think I'm about done with this. Any question? Go ahead, give us an example, why don't you? Did you want me to take your place in the square? Oh, good.
So we're all normal, that Eric and I, we're all normal. Do a right left through. Ladies lead Dixie style. Tag line.
Yeah, nice.
So that flows very well. So notice it's tag line, ocean wave. The idea is to have it from a left-hand ocean wave to go to a nice normal tag line.
That is correct.
The other time left tags are good, or half tags are part of a tag, is when you have a left-hand two-face line, because then it naturally flows into the left half tag.
That's correct, yes. So all face in and all do a right and left through. Let's see, we got mixed sex. Everybody will pass through, everybody tag your line, all face right. Bend the line, right and left through, Dixie style. And as Eric pointed out, tag the line is a great way to get out of this. Love tag the line out of a left-handed ocean wave. All face left and the couple circulate. Everybody bend the line, half sachet, lady lead, Dixie style to an ocean wave. And then let's do a left half tag the line. Check. I'm sorry, tag the line, half tag the line. Everybody do a swing through. You caught me. Recycle, star through, leaders trade, and you're back to a line of 4. There you go. So you have the tag the line through on the left-hand wave, which is an excellent way out, and you can give you a half tag, and of course you can, that lends itself well right into a turn and deal if we're so inclined. Okay, I'm done.
Do I have a question? Like Hogan, Omaha, Nebraska.
Well, I was done.
You're not done. So in the back, dialing it back to the lesson format, when you teach tag the line, do you teach tag the line, half tag, three-quarter tag? Do you teach all of the chunks of it at the same time, or do you teach tag the line and then come back and work on half tag?
Right off the bat, I go right into tag the line, and I give them a lot of the different variations of it, where you have the girls in the lead, boys in the lead, mixed sex. Let them get good at the two-face line, and let them get good at the left-handed two-face line, then go right into the one-face line, and then eventually go into the fractionals, but that's not going to be the same line. Yes, sir? Go ahead.
Mixed here from somewhere in California. I like tag the line. I like tag the line from a left-handed wave. I think because I don't like it from a right-handed wave. And you guys danced it one time. I don't think a tag line from a right-handed wave is good. And my question is this: if from a left-hand two-face line, it can't be both ways. It can't be good with a right shoulder pass. It can't and a left shoulder pass. It's got to be one or the other. One's got to be good and one's got to be bad. We should decide which one that is. I know which one I think. From a left-handed two-face line. It was done right. We did it both ways. I maintain that you can actually do a right-handed right shoulder pass from a left-handed two-face line, but it can't be both ways. It's got to be one or the other.
So
it can't be smooth. For instance, a tag the line from a right-handed wave, can we agree is not smooth? From a left-handed wave, we can agree that it's smooth. It can't be both. It can't be smooth from a right-handed wave and a left-handed wave. Tag the line from a left-handed two-face line cannot be smooth both right shoulder and left shoulder. Now you can make it smooth, depending on what you call it beforehand, but just a set up a general left-hand two-face line, it can't be smooth passing right shoulders and passing left shoulders. It's got to be one or the other. So, which one do you like?
I would call left tag line from left-hand two-face line. Left-hand tag.
So I think what Tony brings up is a valid question. Which do you like? I'm going to add one more ripple to that. Regardless of what you like, they're both legitimate uses. And it's because I don't like using it that way. That doesn't mean that my dancers won't get out there and hear it done by another caller. And if the other caller lays it flat on their behind, because I didn't take the time to teach that, then, well, I don't know about not serving the dancers. I often serve my dancers. But in our market and in my market, I'm going to say that we have a wide variety of callers who use a wide variety of calls. And I have to prepare our dancers to dance with somebody else besides me. And I'm going to ask that everybody who's teaching would do the same.
Tonio from somewhere. Well, first of all, before you do a left tag or normal tag line, you want the center's momentum towards the center of the line. You don't want to call something like California twirl tag the line. You want a center's trade or something that's moving towards the center line. And what makes the left-handed two-face line, tag the line, work from either direction is because dancers are used to passing right shoulders. So it feels, even though the left shoulder one is a little bit smoother, they're used to passing right shoulders a lot, so they're used to doing, that's what they're going to want to try to do. Because they're going to hear left, they might not hear the word left, and they're going to, oh, we have to pass right shoulders. So that's why both those things kind of work. Let me turn it
My
off.
point was, you can make the right shoulder pass smooth depending on what you call before it.
Right.
That was my point. So that was why I could go either way. I was hoping somebody would say that. The other thing that I have, I don't like, and maybe you guys do it some of you, I don't like a veer to a tag. I don't like a lead right, veer left tag, or lead left, veer right tag. And I've seen guys do that. And so you want to be careful, especially if your material is not memorized and you're citing it, you want to be careful that when you look and see, be sure that it's smooth for both sexes. And so sometimes what we see is smooth for the guys, not so good for the girls. Kind of, sort of like from a line start through veer left is great for the guys, terrible for the girls if we do it, you know. And then if you want to really make it bad, you can start through veer left and tag the line. Cool. Yeah. So just an observation. So be careful of that.
I'm done.
Good. All right. Anybody else have anything you'd like to add? Excuse me.
Clay, Mike Seastrom, California. I like that both hands point toward the center of your line. I really take that one home. The other thing that I always use is whatever line you're in, to find the center of the line, turn to face where the most people are in your line. I like when people are in a line, I like them to look at their line. It tells them if they're in or the center of their line, but I also like where are the most people in your line. Turn to face the most people, because every time that's the center of their line. But I like that fact that point with both hands, because everybody is immediately realizes who's not going the right way, if that's the case.
I have a question for Buddy. How do you teach them how far half tag is and how far 3/4 tag is? So you got a trick for it?
Yeah, I tell them to tag the line all the way through and back up halfway.
Lawrence Johnstone, Northern California. Buddy, when you were first starting to touch on half tag, you were talking about calls that flow well after half tag, and your first example was a scoot back. And I wonder if maybe we don't overuse half tag and scoot back. There's a classic singing call figure that from a right-hand two-face line, you do a half tag, trade, and turn to face. And when I call that for groups that are unfamiliar with me, what I most commonly see is them doing a 3/4 tag and two boys in the very center trying to trade instead of a boy trying to trade it with a girl. And I'm wondering if that's coming from an overuse of half tag scoot back.
I think you have to be careful coming into half tag. Could you just give me two couples here real quick? I want to show you a couple of what I consider to be bad uses of getting out of the half tag. Veer left, please. Tony, just give me this idea. Would you unveer left for a minute? Tony just told me this works really well. Veer left, half tag the line. Scoot back. All right, now I'm going to be serious. Single hinge, girls trade. Girl run around the boy, do a half tag the line, and the boy run around a girl. I think that's a terrible, terrible combination, because the girl is moving just a tad and then has to slide over instantly, and the boy is doing way too much walking. Veer left and do a half tag. Girls fold, I think, is another really terrible combination. There aren't really a lot of good combinations to come out of that. Let's have the boys pass through, touch a quarter, you're back in the wave. And if we had a whole square together, the classic, girl run, half tag, and everybody swing through. That's another terrible combination. It's mixing the people up way too much, just at the risk of being self-indulgent. Just because we think it's cool, that doesn't make it cool.
The problem, when you do the half tag, the dancers see a box of 4. They don't see the ocean wave. So to do a half tag in any ocean wave call is going to make the dancers hiccup. You almost have to do something in that box. Otherwise you stop the dance and have to tell them check your wave. Then the dance stops. And I've seen guys, a lot of guys, their timing is so bad that everything's smooth. Which is true. If your timing is bad enough, every call flows. So you want to be careful with that. We see the whole square. The dancers only see their little group of 4. Right now, these dancers see an ocean wave. If I were to say hinge, do that. They see the box. They don't see the ocean wave this way now. They see the box of 4. So if I did a hinge to a fan the top, I'm asking for trouble because these people don't see the ocean wave. So I'm stuck. If I want the dancers to dance well, I'm almost stuck doing the box call. You know, so half tag and scoot back is, to me, is it's probably overused, but that's it, yeah. You know, half tag and hinge, kind of sort of same thing. Any questions? John?
I gotta cut you off, hang on, John. There.
John Jones again from Texas. Tony, if you recall in the recording that Deborah and I did of Islands in the Stream, we put in the word in there, check your wave, and then the center's trade. And we had some people call us, they were listening to our recording of it and said, how do you dance check a wave? made us think. Wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't put that in there because newer dancers think it's a call. Teaching on the tag the line that we heard from a very new caller that he had tried this and it worked really well. We have a problem with a lot of times with dancers knowing where the center of the line is, but they know real quickly where the other end of their line is. Turn to face the other end of your line or your wave. And we have had good success with that with those who don't know how to face the center of the line. Just another teaching.
All right. Well, folks, we have about 2 minutes left. Everybody's got something good for the cause. All right. Please give Buddy Weaver a ton of